It is 7:50 a.m. You'll notice I'm still in the same exact clothes as the previous vlog. That is because after I edited that vlog and posted it at 2 o'clock last night, 2 o'clock in the morning, my son decided he was just gonna stay awake and he would not go to sleep. It is 3:30 in the morning and I just put my son in the car because he will not go to sleep no matter what. Tried everything, he is wide awake. So we're gonna try the old drive around for a while trick. From 2:30 to 3:30, I brought him into my studio and tried to get him to go to sleep in there. It is soundproof, so I kind of let him cry. That didn't work. Then from 3:30 to 4:30, I drove him up the 5, which is a big highway here in Los Angeles. I just headed north I just got on the highway at 3:30 in the morning. Okay, tonight is the night I get this part of the studio organized, or at least unpacked. This is kind of interesting. I just came across a bunch of receipts from years ago, I guess when I had first moved to LA and I didn't have a studio yet or a place to practice. We were just living in an apartment. These are all receipts from me renting practice space at like a rock and roll rehearsal studio. This was me paying to go and practice for a couple hours. Well, there's 4 boxes of CDs. This is the first. I like to have my CDs organized alphabetically, but because they're in these boxes and they're all kind of a mess, and I'm pulling them out backwards because of the way I put them in. So I'm not gonna get too tedious tonight. If they're not all in perfect alphabetical order, I'll deal with that later. Remember this soundtrack? You guys are probably too young. I loved this soundtrack. When Harry Met Sally, Harry Connick Jr. with his big band. God, it's so good. 1989. Totally recommend this one. This one is so killer. Klaus Ogerman's Cityscape featuring Michael Brecker from, it's probably the late 70s. It released in 1982. You can never have too many John Coltrane Giant Steps. I didn't get all my CDs unloaded, but I got a bunch of them unloaded. And the books will have to wait till tomorrow, but at least I started clearing some stuff in from that hallway. The point is I made progress. And what you didn't see is I got a bunch of computer work done, stuff that I've been needing to get done for quite some time. Sometimes that's the way I work, in fits and starts. And I think I mentioned this in a prior vlog, how I'm sort of like a productive procrastinator, right? So the idea of setting myself some stuff to do, oftentimes I don't do that, I do something else. But I wanted to stop here and just mention something about listening. I'm going through all these emails, I get a lot of questions. So many of them have to do with things like, how do I make my solos be more coherent? How do I make my ideas better? How do I put, play over changes better? How do I make a coherent solo? How do I make it not just a bunch of notes? Things related to this. And I have, going through these CDs, these are, by the way, this is a collection of music that the physical manifestation of my music collection has not grown a lot in the past decade because the way that we consume music is different. But when I was younger, it was all about CDs and I would pore over the liner notes and whatnot. So I'm going through tonight, I was listening to that Michael Brecker, Klaus Ogerman thing, and then I also pulled out this one, this gem. This is just a compilation, but Clifford Brown, I don't know if you can see this in the light, Clifford Brown's Finest Hour. Sometimes these compilations are pretty awesome because they put really good stuff on here. But my point here is this. Very often I feel today, and this is not meant to be a rant, this is just meant to be helpful advice. Younger players are so busy trying to get through the books and through school programs and learning and technique and chops there's always, the process of playing jazz, it's a mysterious and wonderful and difficult and puzzle, okay? So there are no easy answers, But I can tell you this is the best possible thing you can do. This is the number one piece of advice I can give you. You ready? Listen more. Listen way more than you practice or than you play. I don't practice a ton, okay? I practice and I try to practice well and practice things that will serve me and use my time wisely. But what I have done over the years, many, many years, lots and lots of listening. And when I say listening, and I have a blog post about this, if you Google Bob Reynolds active listening, it'll come up. I'm listening to this Clifford Brown piece. They're doing Yesterdays, okay, the standard Yesterdays, not the Beatles tune. And there's this gorgeous woman singing, it's not Helen Mirren, Helen Merrill singing. And I'm listening to this thing, and there's so much you can learn by just this one track, let alone the whole CD. I mean, seriously, check this out. Whoops. I will do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Are you doing that? Because if your solos don't feel coherent and you feel like you don't know what to play and you can't string, two things together, you got to ask yourself, are you doing that? Are you at that level of detail with masterful musicians who created this language? Because if you're not, then no amount of practice books or practice time can ever make up that difference for you. Just the fact that listening to this and understanding where he plays, where he doesn't plays, and how it relates to the vocalist, and also that grace note, he doesn't just go do 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 do. It's not just about what chord scale it is, right? But also you listen to that, and if you're doing it right, you're understanding that that's over a minor 2/5 and a turnaround back to the top of the song, and you're taking that information and going, wow, what he plays sounds really cool. And if I do it right, I can understand what he's playing, and I can utilize that elsewhere in my playing. It's all about taking it apart, deciphering that code, that blueprint, and understanding it so that then you can use it in the future. That's way more valuable than just practicing some book of hip licks or don't get me started. This is what you need to do. That beautiful grace note. Listen to how rich that tone quality is. I mean, that's it, man. How laid back that line is. That's my little rant for the evening. More studio cleaning to come tomorrow. And hopefully more sleep. Good God, if he is up again tonight.